She was taken from her own bedroom while her family slept, and for 9 long months, America searched for her. The date was June 5th, 2002, in a quiet, affluent suburb of Salt Lake City, Utah. The Smart family was asleep. Their home was a sanctuary, a place of safety and warmth nestled in the peaceful hills. But on this night, that peace would be shattered forever. A shadow moved through the darkness, silent and unseen. A kitchen window, left slightly ajar for the summer air, became an entry point. The intruder crept through the sleeping house, a phantom navigating the familiar halls of a stranger's home. He moved with a chilling purpose past the parents' bedroom and into the room where 2 sisters slept. What happened next would not only devastate a family, but would also shock a nation and change how America viewed child abductions forever. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. It was a crime of meticulous, terrifying design. In that room, 14-year-old Elizabeth Smart awoke to a nightmare. A man stood over her bed, a knife gleaming in the faint moonlight. Her younger sister, Mary Catherine, slept just feet away, oblivious. Elizabeth was paralyzed by fear, her mind struggling to comprehend the reality of the situation. The man's voice was a low whisper, a chilling command that promised harm to her family if she made a sound. He forced her from her bed, from the safety of her room, and led her out into the cold night. The place she felt safest, her own home, had become a scene of unimaginable terror. The abduction was executed with a horrifying precision that left no immediate trace, no sign of a struggle. When dawn broke, the only thing missing was Elizabeth. The empty bed was a silent testament to the horror that had unfolded while the world slept. The initial hours were a blur of confusion and panic for her family. A frantic search of the house yielded nothing. The call to 911 marked the beginning of an investigation that would grip the country. The news of a child taken from her own bed spread like wildfire. Elizabeth Smart's face was suddenly everywhere, on television screens, on newspaper front pages, and on posters plastered across storefronts and telephone poles from coast to coast. The story resonated deeply with parents across America, touching a primal fear. If it could happen to the Smarts, in their safe, loving home, it could happen to anyone. The FBI joined local police, launching one of the most extensive and highly publicized searches in modern history. Volunteers, numbering in the thousands, combed the rugged Utah mountains and canyons surrounding the city, desperate for any clue. The Smart family, led by Elizabeth's father Ed, became the public face of the search. They held daily press conferences, their faces etched with a pain that was impossible to ignore, yet their resolve never wavered. They spoke directly to the abductor, pleading for their daughter's safe return. But as the days bled into weeks, and weeks turned into agonizing months, the initial wave of urgent hope began to recede. The constant media attention brought immense pressure, but few credible leads. The entire nation was watching, waiting, praying, but Elizabeth was gone. For the investigators and their family, the silence was deafening. Hope, once a roaring fire, was slowly fading to a flicker. Behind the scenes, investigators were buried under an avalanche of tips, thousands of them, most leading to dead ends. The family's former handyman, Richard Ritchie, became an early suspect. He had a criminal past and had worked in the Smart home. The police focused on him intensely, but he maintained his innocence, and despite the pressure, no concrete evidence linked him to the crime. Tragically, Ritchie would die in custody from a brain aneurysm, leaving more questions than answers. The investigation seemed to have hit a wall. But then, months after the abduction, a crucial memory surfaced. Elizabeth's younger sister, Mary Catherine, who had pretended to be asleep during the incident, suddenly remembered something vital. The abductor's voice. She'd heard it before. It belonged to a man her family had briefly hired for a day's work. A man they knew only as Emmanuel. This man was a self-proclaimed prophet named Brian David Mitchell. He was a drifter, a religious fanatic who had been dismissed by the family for his unsettling behavior. When Mary Catherine made the connection, she told her parents, "I know who it is." This was the turning point. The focus of the investigation shifted dramatically. The police now had a name and a face. The sketch of Brian David Mitchell was released to the public. He was no longer a phantom. He was a wanted man. The hunt for Elizabeth Smart had a new, desperate urgency. The new lead re-energized the search, but Mitchell was a ghost. He and his wife, Wanda Barzee, lived on the fringes of society, moving through homeless encampments and blending in with the transient population. They had forced Elizabeth to wear disguises, a wig, robes, and a veil to conceal her identity. She was told she was now a new person, part of their twisted religious fantasy. She was moved from a crude campsite in the mountains near her home to California and then back to Utah. She was often in plain sight, hidden by her disguise and the public's assumption that a kidnapper would keep their victim locked away. On March 12, 2003, 9 months after she was taken, a miracle happened. In the nearby city of Sandy, Utah, two separate couples recognized Mitchell from the police sketch they had seen on the news. He was walking down a public street with two veiled figures. Both couples called 911. When police officers arrived, they stopped the trio. They questioned the man, who identified himself with a false name. Then they turned to the two females. One was his wife, Wanda. The other, hidden beneath a gray wig, sunglasses, and a veil, was quiet. An officer asked her to remove her veil. He looked at her and asked, "Are you Elizabeth Smart?" After a moment of terrifying silence, the 14-year-old girl replied, "I am." Elizabeth's rescue was a moment of national catharsis. The news that she was found alive sparked celebrations across the country, but her journey was far from over. The 9 months of her captivity had been a period of relentless psychological torment. Yet the young girl who returned was not broken. In the years that followed, Elizabeth Smart showed the world the true meaning of resilience. Instead of retreating from the world, she chose to face it. She cooperated with investigators, providing the testimony that would ensure her captors were brought to justice. Her courage in the courtroom was astonishing as she confronted the man who had stolen her childhood. She refused to let her trauma define her. Instead, she transformed her experience into a platform for advocacy. She became a powerful voice for survivors of abduction and abuse, establishing the Elizabeth Smart Foundation to help prevent similar crimes and support victims. Her story is not just about a kidnapping. It is a testament to the enduring power of hope, the strength of the human spirit, and the courage to not just survive the unimaginable, but to live a life of purpose and meaning afterward. Elizabeth Smart survived what many believed was impossible. Her story is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, the light of hope can never be fully extinguished.